So this is your standard format. Now I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but we've kind of done some of this. A lot of times I use macros to do my formatting. I don't really want to go through and type all this code out. In other cases, typing the code out is much cleaner and much easier maybe in terms of just formatting specific things you're looking for. The font command. So these are some font commands. Look like you got a color, a bold, a strike through. The bolds are true and false. It's just on and off switches. The font size, the font type, and we put double quotes around that because a lot of the font types are 2 words. Here's your italic is true. Here's your font underline, and the underline's a little bit different because there are different underline styles. There are single style, there's a double style. You can use true and false, but what it does is it defaults to the single line format style. Yeah, here I put the note here, see it? Or selection font.underline equals true, and it will default to the single style here. Otherwise, you can put in double or triple or whatever others you have in here. And so here are some examples of the Rgb command. We mentioned that earlier, that you can put in your Rgb functionality. Here's your font command. So this would be font equals color. We've done this a couple of times already. Here's your interior command. So the interior is you select the range. You say interior color equals, and then you specify the color. Paragraph styles. You have horizontal alignment equals XL center, because apparently there are other alignments in here. There's a center, a right, a left. There's a top and a bottom, of course. Here's word wrapping, false. So these are just some of the just general commands you could use. Here's your mail merging. You can mail merge those together. So here's a selection, horizontal alignment equals XL center. Borders. See, the borders are interesting because you have to do each edge one at a time. And that's why I would prefer just doing that in a macro. I have to do the left edge, the right edge, the top edge, do all of them. And there's the inside section, and there's our inside particle. So you have to kind of, it's really very tedious. And apparently you can put in different thicknesses here, of course. This is a thin, and I think it's a different thickness in there. And so we've done some of this already. So here's your number format styles. So here's number format, 00, and you can type in some of these if you'd like. So we can look at some of that. So it looks like it says, do this one, these different colors, and format differently. Okay, and then we have some currency format here. You have to say style equals currency, style equals %. There's a date format style. You can put in number format and specify a parameter that defines the hours, minutes, and seconds. There's the Autofit feature. Concatenation, we'll do both of those. Concatenation we did briefly earlier, but this would be able to tie 2 strings together. The range is equal to range 3, A3, value, patch that together with the last name. So it puts in it extracts the character from here and puts the word last name behind it. So this is a concatenation character. Let's run through some of these. So let's come up to the top here. We're going to open up this file called format, which we already have open. So it doesn't really matter, just to that. Let's go to Q2 or something like that. Maybe we'll format these numbers here. Maybe we'll center these possibly. Maybe we can merge this together, merge all that into one cell. We're going to center these, and then we'll do some number formats on each one of these to see the different number style. So we will come over to Visual Basic. I will look at my format sheet. Get a lot of things up here. There's my format sheet. Down to the bottom here. So we're going to center this, and then we're going to number format these different ways. So I can say sub formatting, enter, and I'm going to put my code right in there. I'm going to cut and paste some code out so I won't have to remember all the exact formatting for this. So up in here we have, here's our font. We can figure that out, okay? But the thing that's a little tedious is right down here. Here's the center, be selection, here's your merge, here's right here. So it's horizontal alignment center. See? So we need to remember that horizontal alignment center. I'll cut and paste that out. And put this right here, put single quote, so I can have that information and refer to it. Now we're also going to come down and look at the formatting tool, these, not the borders, but down in here. See how you've got these range, AMAT, and it's like these ranges. And you're going to format maybe these different styles so we can see what the different styles are. So we copy that out and format, and then we're going to go open the basic editor, pop that in there. Okay, so looks like this works really well. This one up here, we have to put our range, double quote A2, colon A7, dot, and we can use our horizontal alignment here to horizontal align that in Excel Center. Those will be centered. Over here, we're going to do B3 to B7. We're going to format using this style, and then we're going to format the C column using this 0 style, and so we can kind of see what these styles look like. Put this down like this. You run it. There's our horizontal alignment. It's centered. It got centered, okay. Here is our .00. So it does put in the number and the dot 2 decimal points. Okay, now the February range is going to actually put in no decimal points at all. See, it took out the decimal points. This one's going to put 3 decimal points out there. There's 3. This one's going to put a prefix number of 7 in front of the numbers. Now the general format is basically just says, we'll just do it as a non-format situation. So that's your number format. And this here is a special format that puts dollar signs out there, it looks like. So your formatting is not that complicated, but like I said, a lot of times I'll do my formatting with a macro. I won't even use Visual Basic because it's just really kind of tedious. To remember all those commands and all those formats, I can do it manually in Excel. It's just much quicker than trying to type in all these formats. But you'd be a little bit familiar with it from a reading perspective. So if you go back and read through some code and it says format number, then you'll know what that means and you'll understand what that code is all about. So you can see that it's pretty straightforward, I think. Once you understand what the command is, you can figure it out pretty well. So I don't want to spend any more time on this, but because this is something that you can figure out pretty easily. Once you understand how to select things and how to identify fields, then you can go through and do a lot of stuff with it. This is the Autofit feature that allows you to kind of auto-fit. See, it says active cell, entire column, and this is Autofit. But you could actually select not the active cell, but a whole bunch of columns. So I could do this two different ways. Let's go through and select multiple columns and do an autofit on it. Okay, and then down here is the autofit, I believe. So let's come back over to our format sheet, and I can autofit this here, and I double click right here. See how it collapses it, and that's the autofit feature. So we're going to autofit all of these columns up on top. So we can select this two different ways, and we're going to select all these columns on top, right up here, and then we're going to use the autofit feature to fit those columns. So let's select them, and like I said, there's two ways to do this. So I'm going to comment some of these out so it doesn't keep doing these commands over and over again. Talked about this a little bit earlier. There was a command called columns. Then you can specify B, double quote, B, colon, I. Dot. And that's going to actually, you can select them, and then you can autofit them, or you can directly autofill them. That's one way to do it. The other way you can do it is you could do a range so let's have to run it to see what happens. Okay. It's going to do it directly instead of indirectly. That looks like it worked. See? So, oh, that didn't work. Look at that. Interesting. So the range one didn't work, but the columns one did work. So let's comment this one out. Let me go back to my book and see if that's what I said. I think that's probably what I said. I didn't read it. Here it is. Autofit will change the column widths to fit the data within. It's used in conjunction with the columns object with autofit selected columns. So I didn't say anything about these. I did use columns here. I did look like I did a range A1. Looks like I was able to do not a range here. I couldn't go B to I, but I did a single column. See it? So if a single cell is identified, the column, it would autofit it. So I'd have to do them one at a time using this technique. So I can active cell entire column and then do the autofit. So we can use it from a single cell perspective, but I have to copy this code down multiple times in order to get that. I wonder if I can just remove that. I think I have to select it, don't I, in order to do the active cell. So I don't think I can do a direct on this one here. I might be able to do a direct on this, but I can just try it and see is all I can do. Let me copy it out. And I'll just do a direct real quick like, so you can see that. So I'm kind of playing here now. I said in my book that this works. So we just go through and this is going to be B. I can click over here to take B like this. And I'll run this to see if this is actually going to go. Where do I have this here? Oh, I see, I put this. All right. So F8. Okay. So I'm going to make sure this is going to work first. And usually the things in my book show that they do work. Good. So now I'm going to try to do it directly, which I don't think I'll be able to do that, but I'm going to try. So instead of doing this active cell thing, I'm just going to simply click out of here, and have this go directly to the column. So B1, entire column, autofit. And the drum roll. It worked. I'm surprised it worked. I really am surprised. Okay. But that's kind of what we have to do, though, because sometimes if it doesn't quite work one way, we have to kind of try it a different way to see if it worked. I didn't think that would work, but because I felt you had to select it first before you did the entire row autofit. But, you know, let's look at this. All right, how we doing? We're getting kind of towards the end here. Things are getting a little bit tiring, I think, right?
But that was just for one column, right? But the one above that is for all columns at one time?
Yes, that's the difference. See, so I'd have to do it multiple times of what I'd have to do it. See, this is what I was trying to do here is I was trying to say B, column B to E, or something like this. That's what I was trying to do. I had trouble with that in the previous, down the examples down here. Let me see if this is going to work. If I can do multiple columns, which I think that is the difference between the columns command and the range command, that there are some limitations in this particular command. It worked. No, it did B. See, it didn't do I. It didn't do all. Oh, it did E. It did work.
Yeah, it did work.
Okay, it did work. See? So there are kind of different ways to do it. Sometimes they don't work. So you have to kind of look at it from a different perspective and say, how am I going to get this to work? I mean, let me try the columns command. Let me try the range command. So sometimes I've seen the range command drop out and not work with certain combinations of commands. And so you're just sort of kind of working around the problem. And that's the biggest game that we're playing right now, which is trying to work around these issues.
Got it.
Okay, so that's kind of the idea. This concatenation command will allow us to patch things together. So I can actually take a cell and add additional text to that cell. So that's what that's for. That's a typical Excel command. The with command is a formatting technique that puts, see, like here we have the range, interior here. So you can write all these commands out. It takes a lot of effort to expand all these commands. But down in the with command, you can simply simplify things. So this way I can select the range, go to the width, and then say whatever's selected, we're going to modify the interior. And then you can put your dot and several dots in. See, I have font. So once I define the width, here's width range A1.font. And then I can simply put dot. So dot name, dot size, dot border, dot font, and I can list a whole bunch of them. So it's a way to kind of consolidate multiple formatting techniques because the format takes so many different commands that it ends up being pretty redundant. So they want to try to come up with a way to simplify the code a little bit. And most of the macros will use the with command. So that's really all you need to know about the with command. And you can write different combinations of that, but it's to read code, basically. That's primarily why I put this in here, so that, because the macros will write out the code, and we'll put these dots out there. It will do it this way, with the with capability.
And with the indentations is just for like a visual organization, right? It's not necessary.
No, it is physically. You end the width right here, see it?
I mean, like you know how you indented?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's for visual, right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Entire column is the entire column command. I don't have that in there, do I? Currency. Here's a nested width. So here's a width here, and then it has another width right here underneath of that width. So you can get kind of fancy with this, but it does allow you to nest widths within. I would never do this because it's easier just to write them out separately. So we have to say the width of active cell, okay, and we're going to simply do this, 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 and this, but then underneath the active cell, we're going to put a dot font and do this and this and this. So it's easier just to rewrite this up here and just put another width down at the bottom. So there's a couple of commands. Selection. So here's some more